All right, guys, this is your 6-week benchmark review, starting here with number 1. These first 2 problems, we're just solving equations, okay? Now, you can go about this the regular way we've done this, which is actually to write out the equation and solve it correctly. To do this problem, you always go reverse order of operations, meaning we want to undo subtraction first. When I do that, I get -3 equals a over 5. To undo division, I multiply. So I multiply both sides by 5. And I get that a equals -15. Okay? Now, the alternative way to do this, if you forget how to solve equations, which hopefully you don't, we've been doing it all year, is you have the answers in front of you. There's only 4 choices. So you can start taking them, and this time it just so happens that A is the first one. You can just take the answers and plug them in for A until you get one that equals 2. So what I mean by that is if we take -15 and plug it in for A, like so, okay, so that's the same exact right side of the equation, but with -15 plugged in. You can see alpha y equals enter, that's how you get a fraction, -15 over 5 plus 5. Hit enter, and we get the 2 that we were looking for. Okay, so don't ever forget with these solving equations, you have the answers in front of you. This second one's pretty easy, so I'm just going to work it out the normal way. When I distribute, I get 8k plus 80 equals -80. Subtract 80 from both sides. I get 8k equals, and a lot of people have been telling me this is 0. And then they've been saying there's no 0 here, there's a problem. Guys, when in doubt, get your calculator and be careful, okay? -80, get your calculator out. And we are subtracting away another 80 from it. That gives us a -160, okay? -160. Plus, now that we have this typed into the calculator, we don't have to retype it in or anything when we divide it by 8. If you just press the divide button, it'll automatically use your last answer. Oops. Press the divide button, it'll automatically use your last answer. 8 gives us -20. Again, if I ever go too fast or anything for you in these videos, okay, just take a moment, pause it, collect yourself, rewind it, it'll be fine. 3, we got Larry McLarryson. You can tell I wrote this problem because I got bored and decided to make him a pumpkin farmer with a weird name. Talk about how it's a huge deal for pumpkin farmers and this time of the year, blah, blah, blah. A bunch of crap there, right? You've got to know whenever we can wade through all that, okay? He knows he can gather roughly 120 pumpkins per day. I underline that whole thing because that's the important part, but the most important part is this word per. Independent and dependent, they do not go in that order, and so many of you keep thinking that they always go independent, dependent. It's actually the opposite with this word per. It's alphabetical. Dependent comes before independent. So my independent, I'm looking for days. Independent Halloween, nope. Independent number of pumpkins, nope. Independent days, yep. Just to be careful, let's check the dependent. The dependent came first, and it should be number of pumpkins. There we go. Number 4, we're doing inequalities, but basically we're right back to those solving equations problems that you needed to be able to do earlier, okay? When we have -20, v is less than -80, we want to get v by itself by dividing by -20 on both sides. That gives me v on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side is going to give me 4, but I've left that middle part blank because this is something a lot of us are starting to forget about, that sign flip. Now, in this problem, the sign flip didn't particularly hurt you because there was only one problem that has 4 as an answer, okay? Also, let's just make sure it's graph right, open circle. Whenever the variable's on the left-hand side, we always want the variable on the left because when it's on the left, we can trust the arrow. This arrow points to the right, we shade right, okay? For this set, for number 5, we're going to add 18 to both sides. That does not flip our sign. And we get p is greater than -3. Oops, circling the wrong one here. Okay. Also, just double check it's arrowed the right way. And I say double check because you'll notice on a problem like number 7, we had 2 with the same answer. For number 6, this is division. It looks like a fraction, and it is a fraction. It's not just looks like it is a fraction. But a fraction is just a really churched up hidden version of division. To undo division, we multiply. Multiply both sides by 16. I'm not very good with my 14 and 16 times tables, so I would do what you should do, which is put it in the calculator. positive 224. So those are going to cancel. We get 224 is greater than or equal to R. Notice no sign flip or anything yet. Now, yeah, sure, we've only got one answer, but this is not the way our answer is written. It's written with the R on the left side. Now, if we want to rewrite this with R on the left side and 224 there, we need to make sure we change our sign whenever you rotate it, whenever you flip the R to the other side. We need to change that sign, otherwise we'll change the value. So your answer should have been B. Number 7, I'm going to write down here because it needs a little bit more room to work. Okay? Before we can start moving pieces around, we have to do this distribution so we can free everything up. We get negative 35 minus 7n is less than negative 105. And this is the first thing that people get wrong on this problem. They'll switch the sign because they say, but Mr. Sorrell, I divided by or I multiplied by a negative. I say, yes, you did, but we didn't do both sides. You flip that sign whenever you multiply or divide by a negative on both sides. In other words, when we choose to multiply or divide by a negative, that's when you flip the sign. This negative 7 was already in the problem. We didn't make it. It was already there. So when you just use the one that was already in the problem, you don't flip signs. You flip signs like number 4 whenever I chose to divide by negative 20. Okay? This multiplication started out in the problem. It was already there. Carry on like normal. Add 35 to both sides. Those are going to cancel. I get negative 7n is less than 70, negative 70, negative 70. Be careful. Look, I almost made a mistake right there with my signs. When in doubt, get the calculator out. Divide by negative 7, divide by negative 7, and some alarm should go off in your head because now we did choose to divide by a negative. And when we choose to divide by a negative, we do flip our sign. N is greater than 10. And if you're moving real fast through the test, you just circled that answer. And you got it wrong. Notice B and C have the same actual algebraic value. Where they're different are the graphs. We want something with, let's say, 0 down here, 10's over here. We want an open circle at 10, and because our variable's on the left, we trust the arrow. Arrow's pointing right, we shade right. So we need ours to be shaded to the right. That means it is, in fact, C. Okay, open circle at 10, shaded to the right. 8, find the slope of each line. 2 ways to do it. 1 with the equation, 2 with rise over run. I'm going to show you this first one with rise over run and the equation, and then I'll just do the second one quickly. Rise over runs means I find 2 points on the graph. I have to do that for either version, okay, either method. I rise 1, 2, 3, 4 places. That's a positive 4. I run 1, 2, 3 places to the right. Up is positive. Down is negative. Right is positive. Left is negative. That kind of makes sense. This is our positive quadrant. Okay, totally negative quadrant. So we get a positive 4/3. I could have knocked out 2 of these from the get-go because they were decreasing. Negative slopes is not how we're going to get here. Like number 9, I'll take that step first, okay, and I'll get rid of those. For number 9, I'll show you how to do this with the actual formula. You still need to find 2 points on the graph. There's one right there. That is negative 2, negative 2. And another point is over here at 1, 2, 3, negative 3, positive 2. Okay? So I have 2 points. Negative 3, positive 2. Negative 2, negative 2. That's my x1 and my y1. My x2 and my y2. I wouldn't advise doing it this way. I would just count. From here to here, I go down 1, 2, 3, 4. I go down 4. I go right 1, so I'm thinking it's negative 4 over 1, which is this. But if we want to do it with the equation, we can. You break out your calculator, and you make a big fraction bar. Alpha y equals enter. Y2 is negative 2 minus y1, which is 2, over x2, which is negative 2, minus x1, which is negative 3. Don't sit there and say, oh, there's already a minus sign there. I don't need mine. You still need yours. We get that our answer is indeed negative 4. Number 10 has to be done that way. Okay, so we have an X1 and a Y1, an X2 and a Y2. We know that our formula, this will be on your formula sheet